everyone! So today I am so excited to talk to you finally about Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. And this is the last book in the Infernal Devices trilogy. And I'm so excited to talk about this book. I am so ready for this. So right from the beginning, we have this worm situation. And there's Tessa in her wedding dress. And it was just insane. And the worm was disgusting and freaking... I already started liking Cecily off the very beginning when she's climbing the tree and jumping on the worm. So in the beginning of the book, there's the letters that are being passed back and forth between the consul. And at first, I actually was very confused because I thought he was a good guy. And then I thought, well, maybe he's been kidnapped and that's not him writing it, or he's been possessed or something. Maybe Mortman's got him, or I don't know. But then I realized, no, that's him. He's just a dick. So I was kind of pissed about that and how he tried to blackmail Gideon and Gabriel. Let's be honest. The consul, at the end, when his head got cut off by the Automan, or the Autonomon, or the robot, we were all kind of happy when that happened. I mean, it was bound to happen. He was such a jerk. Kind of reminded me in City of Glass when the Inquisitor, when Valentine puts his arm through his chest and the Inquisitor dies, and you're kind of yeah, that sucks, but you had it coming. Kind of one of those deals. So I mentioned in the worm fight how Cecily, right from the beginning, I thought she was awesome and she was brave. I really like her character. I think it's awesome that she came to the Institute just trying to get Will to come home, and how she ended up growing to love the Institute, and how it became her home, and how she really thrives as a shadow hunter. I just really like Cecily, and I love the part how Magnus gives Will the necklace, which is the same necklace we later see on Isabel in the Mortal Instruments series. So he's talking about how Magnus is giving Will the necklace and how he's saying that it was Camille's, and he gave it to her as a gift. And then she returned all the gifts back to him. And he, said that it warns him when demons are close and stuff. I love how Will's I can't wear this, Magnus. It's too pretty for a man. So are you. Well said, Magnus. I love that Will ends up giving it to Cecily whenever he rides off to go save Tessa. And I love that she has it. And then we later know she marries Gabriel Lightwood, and so from then it gets passed on to Isabel. I thought that was super neat. The whole scene with the fight in front of the Institute and Tessa gets kidnapped by Mrs. Black. Ew, by the way, gross. Freaking head on a stake deal. Ugh. The whole part with Jessamine dying, and that was just really upsetting. I really just thought she was going to come back and maybe redeem herself or something, and it just made me really sad that she died, and that she was talking to Will, and that her last dying wish was that he protect her dolls and not let anyone throw out her stuff, and it was just very sad, and I was sad to see her go, actually. So I love that we finally get to find out Tessa's where Tessa came from and her background. I also thought it was really interesting to find out what really was with her necklace. I mean, in this book, her necklace is even maybe more prominent of how it grew to human size and flew her to safety, and how we find out it actually has part of an angel in it, basically, and how she had that dream, or maybe not a dream, and how that was a huge part later whenever the ending scene with Mortman and stuff. But that part was super interesting because I always wondered what's the deal with the necklace? Why does it tick? What about it? Why does it protect her? Every book I read by Cassandra Clare, I just love Magnus more and more, and I just love how in this book he and Henry become friends, and I love how he goes down to Henry's lab area, and he starts looking through all of Henry's papers, and they start talking about the portal. He showers Henry with compliments, which I don't feel he gets enough compliments. Oh my gosh, Henry. He had so many funny lines in this book. Oh, he makes the cradle that's the self-rocking cradle that shoots into the wall and explodes, and Charlotte's absolutely not. I love, the part of the portal was amazing. I can't believe that Henry did that. That is insane. I started crying whenever he was broken in the fight at the end, and he just fell down, and it said oh my gosh, the way it was described was so heartbreaking, and I thought he was dead for sure. I'm of course it was Henry. I was so mad. But I love that he wasn't dead, and how Magnus again helped him. It's really sad that he was paralyzed and he couldn't walk again. He must, whenever Henry was talking about how he must build himself a chair, like a sort of bath chair, but better, with self-propelling wheels. I just can picture him like with his future chair, and he wants to like make it to where he can go up and down steps, and I know he's gonna be okay. Like I know he's gonna invent something like that that's gonna be okay. Jim, I really wasn't sure if they were ever gonna find a cure or not, but I figured that he wouldn't just die and then it would be over and then it'd be like Tessa and Will happy. Like I figured that's not how it was gonna go. So when he died, I actually did not believe he was actually dead. The whole part with when he was traveling to Tessa and the whole like the Parabati ruin, like how it was destroyed and how he was literally bleeding and how he almost like he went outside and he actually like ended up vomiting, awful, and that whole scene just put it into, I just never knew the connection, I guess. I feel like you don't really understand the connection of the Parabati and the Mortal Instruments series near as well as you do in this trilogy. Whenever, oh my gosh, I think it was chapter 21, whenever all this happened at once. Henry getting hurt, and then all of a sudden you see that Jim is freaking Brother Zachariah, and I was like, oh. See, I actually wasn't as shocked as some people, because I had heard once online that someone had guessed that Jim was going to become a silent brother. Ever since then, it's like been in my head, but it still was shocking he was literally in his deathbed, and he showed up and was fighting with them. Like with his staff, and Will's like, nice stick, it's a staff. So I think a lot of people were just happy that Jim was alive, and obviously I was happy he was alive, but it was the way he was alive that really upset me. I really was super upset that Jim became a silent brother. Silent brothers have always been creepy to me. They can't wed, he can't have music, he can't have like his violin, he couldn't have any of his possessions. Like it just seemed like such a lonely life. He couldn't see Tessa anymore, he couldn't see his old family, he couldn't see Will. I mean, Will and him, I guess I just felt like there's more to just staying alive. And from what I knew about him becoming a silent brother, it just didn't seem like it was going to be a good life. So as I mentioned before very briefly, Tessa and the angel and thing, I thought that was super awesome how the whole fight that broke out with Mortman's infernal devices, the robots and stuff, and they were going to die, they couldn't get out, and then in comes Tessa, and it was brilliant. I did not think of that. Did not see that coming. It was so awesome how she had a part of an angel so she could become an angel. And once she did, the end for Mortman, and it was so quick. And it reminded me a lot of from City of Glass, the end of Valentine, how quick it was with the angel, and it was just over it was just very swift, and it was over. Will and Tessa, whenever, oh dear, the whole part with Tessa being in Mortman's cave, and then Will comes in, and Will is like actually also trapped in there. It was just so funny that, of course, Magnus, of all people, was the one to walk in and see the two of them. This is unexpected. I love how Magnus is like, you might want to get up. Everyone will be here quite soon to rescue you, and you may prefer to have clothes on when they arrive. I would at any rate, but then I am well known to be remarkably shy. Yeah, right, Magnus. Oh, but then whenever Will and Tessa were together, though, and the necklace like was on Will and stuff, and then how she noticed there was the little star scar on his shoulder. Oh my gosh, I was like, the star. Like I remember with Jay's, I thought that was super, super interesting how that's how the scar was formed, and then I guess it was passed on. I don't know, that was weird. And then Magnus noticed it, and he was like, It was so upsetting whenever Jim came back to the Institute to talk to Tessa and Will and to kind of say goodbye to them and kind of like break the ties with them. The whole promise with meeting on the bridge every year. And then Will and him, oh my gosh. Did you guys notice? Remember the first time you ever were introduced to Jim and like Tessa comes in and he's like, Will, is that you? And then whenever Jim goes in to see Will in the training room and he goes, Jim, is that you? I'm like, oh, that's so sad. It just broke my heart. Oh. So I thought it was really cute how we got to see how, after Jim was gone, how time passed and Will and Tessa were able to kind of just learning to bear it, as Magnus would say. I love that Will started to court her. It was so romantic and it was so cute, and I love how Tessa's just like, just act like yourself. And anyways, and then the whole Christmas part. Before I continue with the romantic part, whenever Will went outside with the snow, what was with Jessamine being a ghost? I didn't see that coming. That was odd. What did you guys think of that? I don't know. It was kind of sad to see her as a ghost. I like that Will finally, I love how he's talking to her and how, you know, Tessa was told that she could take the name Starkweather if she wanted, you know, to have a real Shadowhunter name. And Will's like, of course you can have a real Shadowhunter name. You can have mine. I'm like, oh, I'm so happy he finally proposed and they love each other. Tessa finally said she loved Will, finally. It just was so romantic, and it's just what I've always wanted because I love them together and I love Will so much and I love Tessa. I love that. Oh, I was sad when Magnus was leaving and he's like, yeah, I'm going to the New World. I'm going to New York. Oh, I'm bringing Church with me. And I'm like, oh, that's how Church got there. It's like, well, tell Tessa I'll see her later. I'm like, oh, you will see her later. And then the end of the book before the epilogue, how Tessa and Cecily and Gabriel and Will all went back to Will and Cecily's family, and that was so nice because Will hasn't seen them in years. I love how Will walks up to the door. There was a parlor maid that answered, and she's like, Miss Cecily! And then her eyes went to Will. She clapped a hand over her mouth, turned and bolted back into the house. Oh dear, said Tessa. I have that effect on women, Will said. I probably should have warned you before you agreed to marry me. Will, and then when he introduced Gabriel to his dad, and oh him, this is Cecily's friend, Mr. Gabriel Lightworm. Before we get to the epilogue, this book was just amazing, and I just was so great, and it tied everything together. Tess and Will were getting together. Gideon and Sophie. Sophie was a Shadowhunter now. I forgot to say that. Oh my gosh, I was so excited. Charlotte was the consul, which is amazing. I'm so excited they asked her. Henry is paralyzed, but he's making do. He's going to make a cool chair. They're having their baby. He's not going to be named Buford. That name cracked me up. Anyways, it was just so nice. But it still left a part of me that was like, Jim. I just had this worry in my heart for Jim, and I just wanted him to be okay, and I didn't know if he was going to be okay. Then comes the epilogue. Well, it starts off at the bridge, which is where Tessa has apparently been meeting Jim, and it's 2008, and I'm like, wow. I was thinking this was the time, actually, that would be set after the Mortal Instruments series, and it was so strange and hard to wrap your mind around the fact that Tessa is wearing normal, like, modern day clothes, and how she was wearing the bracelet from her and her husband's 30th wedding anniversary. Oh my gosh, this is Tessa on a bridge without Will. And she starts thinking back to her and Will's life together and like their children, and the day that the Silent Brothers had said like there was nothing more they could do to keep Will alive, and how she stayed in bed with him, and how Jim came. It was just so upsetting. She talked about how like their first son was named James after Jim. So sad. And I started bawling. I couldn't handle it. I was like, no, this is too much. And then Jim comes, and I was so shocked that he was like normal. Remember how like, it was talking about how Magnus had helped Tessa through Will's death, and how like Magnus was saying the first one was always the hardest, and how Tessa realized if she goes after Jim is now mortal, so he too is going to die, but she couldn't think about that. She had to go after Jim, and it was so rare. I did not think we would have both happy endings, sort of, like where she had Will, and to the end of his days, and then she had Jim. I did not see it going that way, but I liked it. I am very, very happy with the way it ended. Please let me know your guys' thoughts. Let me know what you thought of the epilogue. Was your heart broken? I don't know. It's so upsetting. I'm hoping that we will see Tessa and City of Heavenly Fire. I'm hoping. So I'm going to go, guys. Please let me know your thoughts on this amazing, amazing book, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.